have somebody to lead the prayer. So may I call on Pawi to lead the prayer? Alright. Alright, so thank you for that one, Pawi. No? So before we proceed with our next topic, no? So I would like to ask from your class, what did we discuss with regard to oral calculus? What is our previous lesson? Oh, we only have one meeting, huh? We only have one meeting. So if you will try to remember and recall what is the lesson, no? Alright. So would you mind to share your thoughts, Eric? Jacob? What did we discuss?
Partition plane po.
Cartesian plane. Alright, so in Cartesian plane, Denzel, would you mind to tell something about the Cartesian plane? What is the things that we discussed?
Describe the Cartesian plane.
Mm-hmm. So what are the descriptions that we discussed?
It has the x and y axis, and it is where we can plot coordinates.
Plot coordinates. Alright, so knowing with the plotting of your coordinates, um, knowing that it was discussed as well with your previous school year, no? I just saw something within the activity. No? There are some still that are really confused. I don't know why. It's like repeating again and again. Like there are still students who tend to have this kind of mistake, knowing that it is already plotting, no? But in any case, no, in plotting, what we observe is to have first is to have this x and y axis, x axis and y axis, right? So when we are to plot, when we are to plot coordinates, what are we going to look is for the coordinates. For example, the given coordinates are 4 and 7. Alright, so may I ask, alright, so may I ask Carl, Justin, from 4 and 7, how would you describe or how would you plot 4 and 7?
Sir, what again? I can't understand.
Again, so from the given 4 and 7, how are you going to describe or to tell us how to plot this coordinate? Mhm.
By the numbers po, the negative and the positive in the Cartesian plane.
Mhm. So, for example, you have 4, then 7. In describing, for example, this will be in the exam, huh? This will be in the exam. In the exam, it is not just about to plot and to plot and to plot. It's not just like that. We are to describe, we are to tell how to point, how to plot points, no, in Cartesian plane. Because, because knowing how to plot, yes, it is easy, but to tell how to plot, do you know how? All right. So Justin, are you listening? All right. So I want you to call within your classmate from the boys who would like to answer. Go, go, Justin.
Francis po,
Francis. Class number.
17.
All right. 17. Francis. Is Francis here?
Here po.
All right. So would you mind to tell, like, how are we going to plot 4 and 7?
I think po we will identify first which quadrant it belongs to po.
then,
After that po, we will rely on the numbers of the x and y axis po.
alright, so how are you going to rely? Which is which?
The x-axis po, the horizontal line po. Y-axis, vertical line.
Alright, so from the given 4 and 7, which is x and y, how would we know?
4 po is x, 7 is y.
Alright, so that's correct, Anna. Francis, thank you for that one. So in telling how to plot points, no, first is to identify, no, to identify which quadrant would the coordinates would fall, right? So in order to know what quadrant is to determine what are the placement of each given, no? So as we know, no, if we have this coordinates, there are two coordinates, which is x and y, right? So having proper placement is really important in plotting points, no? So we should always define, we should always know what is x and what is y, no? Because there are still being confused, no, about plotting because it is already given that it is positive, but then I'm seeing that the plot is here, no? Then you will see that it is positive, but the plot is here. So what seems to be the problem? No? So if we will have this x, no, x-axis from the left part of this coordinate, no. So we have 4, positive 4. So in x coordinate, which is x coordinate, is it this one or this one? Of course, this one. No? This is x coordinate, and this is y coordinate. This line y coordinate, and this is the x axis. I'm sorry, x axis and y axis. So again, if you would be asked what is axis for, they are the one. Wait, I will just accept this. Alright, so axis, no? The purpose of the axis is for us to know where to plot the given coordinates, no? So we have 4 and 7. Therefore, in x-axis, we will be plotting in the positive 4, which is here, right? But we have the y-axis, which is positive 7. Therefore, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the points are here. The point should be here, right? So we shouldn't be pointing here as well as you shouldn't be pointing here because if you have x coordinates, no, in x-axis, we 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 find what is the placement of x value, which is here, and the y value, no. So knowing these things and dealing with plotting, no, it is really important for us to know how to plot given coordinates. All right, so you will be asking me, so sir, what's the connection of this uh, starting points? You keep on repeating, no? So it is because our lesson for today is all about increments. All right. So from this class, um, do any of you know or know something about this increments? All right. None? Alright, so this would be a new topic, alright? So ready your notes and your journals in case no. Alright, so if you tell increments, no, from the word increase, what kind of word that comes into your mind? Hmm. Let us try natin yan.
With the word increase po, right?
Yes.
Hmm. I'm guessing po, measurement po.
Mm-hmm. Measurement. Okay, how about the others? Abigail.
First thing that comes to my mind is increasing po, maybe.
Alright, so that is correct, no? Nathaniel and Abigail, no? So if we say increase, no, from the word increase, it is increasing, alright, so increasing, or the measurement. So in this part, if we have increments, no, it only deals with the measurement of something. What is that something? No, we will be dealing that, no. So This is the definition of increment. Now, it is usually change in value, or, for example, we have the values of x. For example, we have this pair, no? We have this coordinate. In the x coordinate, we have the value of 4. Then, in y coordinate, we have the value of 6. Now, we tend to have this change of value by having another pair of coordinates. So, for example, we have another pair of x and y. Alright, so from this another coordinate, we have the value of 5 and the value of um, 7 for this coordinate. Alright, so in this case, we tend to have this change in value from this first coordinate to the second coordinate. So how, no? So it is stated that, right? So it is stated that from this x and y, no, we tend to have this symbol or this symbol. All right. So this symbol it is called as delta. So when we saw this symbol, no, when we saw triangle, yan, we tend to call it as delta. So what is delta? It is only change in the value of x, no, or change in the value of y. So for example, delta x, it is the change of the value, change in the value of x. All right. So sometimes there are times that the points would be um uh what do you call this one? Point G is to 8 and 7, right? So if we will be having that one, no, and for example, f is equal to 3 and 2, what are we going to have there? For example, delta x and delta y, no? So we tend to find the delta x. So how are we going to find the delta x or the changes in value, no? So we have how many x, how many x's do we have? May I know, uh, Jake, Jake Eleuterio, how many x's do you have?
Again po,
May I ask you, how many x's do you have?
we don't...
Hmm?
Ay, in the screen po, there's 2x po.
So what are you thinking? X's, ah? Okay. So we have two x's in the screen, huh? It's not in the relationship. All right. So we have two x's. We have 8 and 3, right? So having 8 and 3, there are the value of what would you think? For example, the first given is G, no? We have the first given G, point G, and the second given would be point F, no? So in this part, the the first value of x or x sub 1 would be 8, right? So we have uh 8, no? So how about the second value or x sub 2? The second value of x sub 2 is of course 3, no? So delta x delta x will be shown if we have the value or change of values of these two x's, no? So as well as for the y, for delta y. So the question is, how are we going to know the change of value of these 2 points? So this is the basic formula, no? So I would like you to take note of this one. This is the formula for the delta x and delta y. All right. So this would be basic formula of delta x and delta y. Okay. All right. So I want you to take note of this one, huh? Class. If you are with me, I would like you to press 237 in the comment section if you are with me, so that I would know if you are still listening and you are with me. All right. So it seems like all of you, no? So we have one, two, three, four, five. All right. So seems like you're with me now. So for this time, no, knowing that two are here. All right. So how about the others? All right. So knowing that you are here with me, no. So knowing I already gave the basic formula of uh, delta x and delta y, no? So, why won't we try to have the delta x and delta y in a Cartesian plane, no? So, let us try to point first the values of point G equal to 7 and 9 and point F and 7, then, no, sorry, sorry. Ay, okay. Alright, so let us have 2 and 5. Alright, so from this one, no, so we have these 2 points. Now, if in finding increment, what are the things that we should do first? Alright, so the first thing we need to do is to point the given coordinates. Alright, so we have the coordinates G, no, point G to 7 and 9. So let us point that one. So we have the value of x. This is the x, this is the x, and this is the y. Alright, so from the x-axis, this is the x-axis, and y-axis. Alright, y-axis. Alright, so positive 7. 1, alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, alright, so about 9. Alright, so I'll be just erasing this one now. Alright, or we could have at least 6. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so from 6, we go up until, no, so from 7 here, x-axis first, 7. So what we did is to find the 7, alright, then find the 6. How many rises did we do? We got 6 up. So the point would be here, no? So what I'm going to do there is raise, then leave the point. Then, after that one, we tend to find the point F. So where is the point F? 2, alright, so 2 and positive 5. Positive 5. Alright, so from this one, no? So may I know, alright, so may I know what would be the answer if we have the delta x and delta y? Hmm. Answer agad, I would like to see an answer in the comment section. For example, what's the formula of delta x and delta y? Hmm. What's the formula? Hmm. Oh, may I know, Leal, Carl, would you mind to answer what would be the delta x, ha? Delta x is with you. Alright, so is it Micaela? Yes. Would you mind to answer the delta y? Okay, try to answer. With the given formula a while ago, no? So I already gave the formula of delta x and delta y. Okay. Alright. So what we have here? Hmm. You have something already? Start.
I'm not sure po, sir, but
Yes, yes.
negative po.
Negative 5. Alright, so let us try. So what is the formula of delta x to delta x? Formula is x sub 2. Alright, so minus x sub 1. Alright, so the formula would be is negative 5. Okay, so how about delta y? Mm-hmm. What do you call this one? What's that one? Mikaela, go. Mikaela, Mikaela, tama po. Yes, po. Your mic, please. Michaela, go. So what do we have? About the others, may you help Michaela? Sarah? So Sarah,
Me po.
Sarah din. So Zala, go.
Our formula for delta y is equivalent to y sub 2 minus y sub 1.
What would be the answer? That's the case. That's
Our answer is negative 1.
alright. So our answer will be negative one. So if you will be plotting negative 5, negative 5, negative 1, the points are here, right? So we will be knowing right after this one, we'll be knowing how did it end up and what's the relationship of this implementation or increment with the following lessons. Okay, so I want you to take, I will be giving you this um, take home quiz, no? This will be the take home quiz, no? So I want you to screenshot this one, ha? Alright, so this will be the first. So for this day, what the question is, why I'm giving you already. I am just asking you to answer this quiz like this day, alright? So we will be meeting the quiz during your time. Okay, so the first quiz, the quiz here in calculus will be this one. So this is the first item. Alright, alright. So try to screenshot ka. Alright, are you done? Yes. Try to have this value. So later on, you will know how to answer this one. Okay. Try to copy. We only have five given. Alright. So this is just the um within line to increment. Okay. Increment is a big goal for us to enter in the loops and such. Okay. Alright. So are you done already? Francie, Madeline, Alice, Sarah, Eric, Nina, Nathaniel, Akira, are you done already? So I'll be going to the next slide. This is the second item. Okay, second item. And already third item. Okay, this will be the third item. Done already. Not yet. Fourth item. Oh, anyways, here's the thing na lang, no? So, this item should be posted na lang dun sa inyo. I will be posting this one to our offline, right? So, for the increment, so having the formula, if you have this formula, you could already build how to have the slopes, how to determine well as the this one, distance, right? So later on, so I'll be giving some just presentation this week, Alright. So I was going to really practical in just deal with increments, no? But this time, aside from increments, what are we going to deal with? Also with alright. For this time, interview, alright. So for this one, aside from increments, so we will be having discussion as well as for the distance formula. So a while ago, what we did about um about the about the so what we did about what is about the increments. No? So what we have is delta x, alright, so as well as the delta y. Now, so noting that delta x and delta y are changing its value, from x. They are the changing of the value. No? So it means yung value ng x ay babago and as well as yung kay y. If you have those 2 points, so having those 2 points, for example, in a Cartesian plane, a while ago, so we have 2 points a while ago, so the changing or the changing value of these two x's and the two y's will be depending on or will be in line from what your slope would be. Alright, so from before we discuss about the slope, what are we going to deal with right now is with regards to the distance formula. So we are to find the distance. No? So there are 2 points. No? So we will be knowing, we will be analyzing, for example, in a graph. No? So we will have this kind of values in x-axis. No? So what are we going to do is, yes, we know their coordinates, but we are to find what is the measurement of these 2 points between each other. No? So how are we going to do that? No? So we are to find the distance formula. Alright, so let us have an example. Alright, so let us have an example. Use your dinaanan yung increment. So ano pa na siya? Later on, and if you want to try by as well, you will be knowing that one. Alright, so with the distance formula now, let us start with an example. Let us start with a point. Alright, so the point considered with x and y axis. So we have the value of x and y. No? So this will be the first point. Okay, so from the first point, so then we consider the second point. Okay, so from the second point, you will notice we have the x absolute as well because this is the second point. So from their points, from their location or coordinates, we are to find what is the distance between these 2 points. Right? Alright. So we are to find the distance. We would point it out or write it out as b. Alright, so we have b. It is not the difference. It's already in difference. Different. But in calculus, when we deal it, it is b as distance. Alright, so You will notice as well, no? We have this values of x sub 2, which in lines in here, and y sub 2 in lines with this graph, alright? As well as x sub 1 and x sub 2, right? So that is where x sub 1 and x sub 2 are located, as well as y sub 1 and y sub 2. Now the question is, alright? The question is, are we going to, alright, so are we going to know what would be the connection of these two lines, knowing that these two lines are intersecting with each other, no? Alright, so having those lines, no, we also see that this line, alright, so this line, from this line, no, it is the values of x sub 2, right? So from x sub 2, from here to here, that is the value of x sub 2. So let me erase it some details lang. So this is the value of x sub 2, right? So how about this one? This is the value of x sub 1. No? So in order for us to get this line now, we then what? We then have the change of values. So how are we going to have this, how are we going to deal with change of values? For example, you were with me a while ago. So if we will be having the values of x sub 1, let us say this is 2. Let's have the x sub 1. X sub 1 will be 2. Then 3. So the values here is, let us say, 8. And let us say 6. Alright, so may I know what would be the value of this blue line? Alright, so let us know. May I call on Joshua, Dave? Leave already. Ang galing. Alright, so let us try, Ralph. Try ito sa Ralph ulit. Let's go. Ano na? About Enzo. 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 Like all of you will not with me, ah. Ay pa ba? May I ask whether to open the camera? Now already. If you will notice, I'm not forcing nowadays. Not really forcing. But may I request for this time? I request to everyone to open the camera. Enzo, Gabriel, Kevin, Minard, Karen. Alright. So if you were with me, so let us try. Princess Ernsted. Alright, so let us try. So if you are with me, so may I know what would be the answer if we have the change of value, no? So we have the delta x, no? If we have delta x, what would be the value of the blue line or the blue segment? Go.
I'm not sure po, but what I have in my mind right now is the length po.
Yes, the length. So what would be the measurement or the value of the blue segment? Let us try Princess. Would you mind Paul within your class among the girls? Go. Go.
A day po.
All day. Go all day. Kamutulo. It's fine, it's fine. Game.
Sir, I don't know.
I'm sorry. Are there?
I'm also not sure because I don't think you have given us an example yet. So I don't
Oh,
know.
ito na lang. Ito tanong ko sa'yo. Kaya, from this delta x, what would be the formula again? So,
For delta x po,
yes po. Sige.
x sub 2 minus x sub 1.
Alright, so if we have x sub 2 minus, minus, right, minus x sub 1. Alright, so what would be the value of delta x if we have this given? Alright, in this given, we have 6, no? So we have x sub 2, x sub 2 is 8, then minus what's x sub 1? We have 2. Then we subtract that one, we have the value of 6. Then therefore, this segment, or the blue segment, would have the value of 6. Alright, so when we have 6, no? So, thank you for that one, Ale. Alright. So, when we have that one, alright, so, same as well, what are we going to do in this other segment? No? Alright, so when we have this point, which is the y sub 2, alright, then what we got here is the missing left, or the one that we are going to find is this part, right? But we have the values of y sub 2 and y sub 1. Alright, so it is like in a stick. If you have long stick, but then you are to find this part, no? But you have two given, this point and this point. Alright, so from this is the origin. If you have given point 1, this is point 1, then this is point 2. Alright, so if you are asked to find what is the value of the what is the value between 1 and 2, what are you going to do is 2 minus 2 minus 1, right? So now asking why, if you only if you are to find this segment, what are you going to do is to lessen this segment, right? So you are going to lessen this segment. So you are going to diminish that segment, alright? So in order for you to get what is the value of this segment, so are you getting? Okay. So alright. So having the example of this one. So Agab, would you mind to give what would be the value for this uh y uh this change of y? Also this green segment. Go, Gab.
Uh, um, -2 and 8.
For example, let us try the values of 2 and what's our value a while ago? Alright, so let us try to have the values of 2 and 3, no? And um, what do you call this one? 8, then 6. Alright, so if you have this uh, coordinates or values, no? So what would be this green segment, Gab? Gab, Gab here.
Um,
Alright.
6 and 3 pa.
6 and 3. Alright, so how did you get 3? This one, ah. How did you get? It is 6 and 3. So what would be the value of where is the 6? This is the 6, right? But then this is 3. So if you will minus, if you are to find this part, you are to minus this part, right? So what will be the value? The value would be, obviously, it will be 3. No? So we are to have the delta y. So we are to have the y sub 2 minus y sub 1 is equals to 6 minus 3. Alright, so therefore the delta y would be 3. Alright, Alright, so are you getting? Alright, so let us have this one. Alright. So from that example, knowing that we already got the blue segment and the green segment. Alright. Alright. So did you notice something? Lara, did you notice something? Now we have um, this distance and this change of y as well as change of x. What did you notice, Lara? It's fine. It's fine if you only have one word or whatever. Nothing. All right. So how about Lara? I want you to call somebody else within the girls. Go.
Maybe Akira po.
Akira. How about Akira? Go, Akira.
Sir, I also have no idea po.
No idea. But during your grade 9 or grade 8, I guess, you already discussed, you already tackled um, within line triangles, right? Right. So with the triangles, did you notice something in line with the triangles? Okay, right triangle, Jake. What else aside from right triangle? If we have right triangle, what do we have? Oh, there is two already. If we have right triangle, angles, all right angles. What else? Hmm. Hypotenuse. Or what else? We already have hypotenuse. Hmm. 90 degree. You're going out already. We have the hypotenuse. Opposite. What else? Angle again. Adjacent. Oh, we have hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. That three. What do we have? If we are to combine those three, what do we have? Hmm. What do we have? Problem solving. All right, so I'll be telling already. So if you will notice what you're trying to say is yes, we have triangle. All right, so we have what do you have this one? Hypotenuse. All right, hypotenuse. Where is the adjacent? Let's say this adjacent is opposite. All right. So if you will notice, no. So hypotenuse is also stands as t squared. All right. All right. So how would you mind to tell me what's the next item that I will be writing? Mm. From c squared. Mm. Did you notice? This would be a formula, something formula. What is this formula? Mm. Didn't you notice this one? All right. So that's the thing. All right. So that will be a squared plus b squared. Oh, from this formula, what do we have this one? What do you call to this formula? Pythagorean theorem, right? So in this part, no, we have Pythagorean theorem, no. We call it as Pythagorean theorem once we have a right triangle. So you should always remember, no, when we are to deal within the geometry, no, in geometry, if we have right triangle, no, we always have the Pythagorean theorem. All right. So if we have the right triangle, we have the Pythagorean theorem. All right. So from the Pythagorean theorem, no, the the only thing that we are to find is the distance. All right. So if you will transpose this formula of Pythagorean theorem, how would you how would you change it to find the distance formula? Paglaruan niyo yung formula mula dun sa Pythagorean theorem, try to play with the formula. Transpose, substitute. Alright, so what are the givens that we have? This x sub 2 minus x sub 1 is also known as delta x, right? How about this one? This y sub 2 minus y sub 1 is also known as delta y, right? So in this part, if we have c squared, and we have a squared, then we have b squared. So if we are to transpose, what will be the formula? So our formula for this one, for in finding the distance, okay, so listen. In finding the distance, we will be having d squared, right? D squared, then what? X squared minus x sub 1, x squared, so like x sub 2 minus x sub 1 all over, or the quantity, then it will be raised to 2, alright? Plus the quantity of the squared of y sub 2 minus y sub 1. Alright, so if you will notice, we could input that one as b squared is equal to delta x plus delta y. Alright, so that will be the formula. But the question is, this is the question, no? So we are to find, from this formula, it has the square. Don't forget that one, huh? Alright, so from this one, we have the square. Alright, so the only matters is the d. But in this part, we have square. So what are we going to do is to have the square root in order for us to diminish the square, right? Because if we do square as well in the left side, we diminish the square, right? So the formula, the final formula for getting the distance is d is equal to square root of the quantity of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus the quantity of y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. Alright? So please take down note of this one, the distance formula. Alright? So you have this one, please wait, huh? So, alright. So why don't we have a small, why don't we take this kind of uh, formula? No? So we have 2 points. What are the 2 points? We have x sub 1 and y sub 1. You know it already. That are the 2 points. We have the a and b, right? But then we have the delta x and delta y. Alright. So from this one, we have the distance formula. So these are the examples. Alright. So when we have r, the points of, let's say sabihin natin, r, points of r and points of j. Alright, so if we are to find the distance formula, so this is how you are going to work. So first is to write what is the formula. Alright, so once after you write the formula, alright, so try to substitute. Substitute all the givens. What are the givens? These are the givens, right? So we have the coordinates of point R and point J. Okay. So after we got the coordinates of these 2 points, we then transpose to each other. So what is the x sub 1? This is the x sub 1. This is the x sub 2. Alright. Then this is the y sub 1. Then this is the y sub 2. So if we are going to write b equal to square root of 2 minus 3. Okay. Squared plus y sub 2. What's the value of y sub 2? It's 4 minus 1 squared. Alright. So after we get the distance formula, and then substitute. Alright. Okay. For you not to be confused and to be bombarded with the formula, always have at your side the formula in order for you not to be lost. Okay, formula is really important. Right, so if you have the formula, always find the given. So in order for us to find the given, always look what are the things that it is needed, which is x sub 2, this is the x sub 2, x sub 1, y sub 2, and y sub 1. Alright, so after that one, we then substitute. Okay, so after substituting all the given, we then now solve. Alright, so what are we going to do? So this is the x sub 2. Alright, so what we're going to do here is that we substitute. Alright, so how are we going to substitute that one? We are to find it like this. Alright, so we put 2 Okay, so minus sign, then x sub 1, sub 3, then square root, don't forget, then as well as for the operation and the quantity. Then y sub 2, what's the value of y sub 2? That is 4. Then the operation, y sub 1, it is 1. Alright. Then the square. So if you are to solve this one, yes, maybe some of you will do it in calculator, no? Alright, so that will be fine. Alright, so that will be fine. But then, no, if we have those value in manual, no, we will be having negative 1 square root, no, plus the square root of 3. Right, so if we will be computing that one, we will be having, all right, so if we will compute, um, by the way, I would like to highlight in solving this radical form, no? We are to solve radical form. We are not to diminish this one, huh? And we are not doing like this. For example, because I have some people that I know, like, for example, all right, what a square root of this one, okay? Having this one, what they are doing is they're just putting like this, minus 3, then like this one, then they are diminishing. That's not correct, huh? Avoid that one. What are you going to do is, it's like in the PEMDAS, what you're going to do is to deal within the radical sign first. All right, so after you deal with the radical sign, we have 1 positive 1, then we put the operation and the 9. All right, so we then get the radical 10, or a square root of 10. So if you will be asking me, no, is that the simplest form? That's the simplest form. Yes, it is. Right. So, but if you will be asked, um, on what placement, no, on what placement will this distance would fall? Because right, there's 2 points, no, there's 2 points, no. So the value would be radical or square root of them, no. So it's for me, I will allow you for this time, but taking the exam, it would be better if you don't have the calculator. All right. So we estimate, no, the distance through getting the distance formula. So if you will put uh, square root of 10 in a number line, so how are you going to identify what's the where will the square root of 10 will fall? Here, I guess not. It's not. So what are you going to do is to find the nearest value of square root. No? So the nearest value of this square root is, we have the square root of 9 and square root of 16. So if we will be asking what is the perfect square of that two values, it is 3 and it is 4. So we will be asked in a number line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so where will you put square root of 10? Of course, beside 3. Okay. Alright, so it is beside 3. Alright, so it is between 3 and 4. Okay, so for this one, again, I will be ending the slide here, hoping that you get something. May I ask you, may I request now, may I request to everyone to tell in the comment section if I was fast. To be honest, the honest one, ha? I am really getting your opinion, even if really uh, harmful if you think for the teacher, but I will allow you. Tell me what would be your opinion, because I'm as I observe, there's still students that tends to help me answer. You're really fast. I can uh, follow. But in case, no, that's the case. For example, I am really fast. The reason is that one. If you will notice, we only have few meetings in policy rules, and we only have few meetings as well for advanced math. And it is really, I feel pity for all of the students if we will be discussing like 2 lessons only, knowing that you have 5 lessons, no, in first quarter. And uh, how would you know the following lessons if you don't know the lesson that should be discussed? Because you know, math, you wouldn't understand the lesson what we are dealing in math if if we didn't tackle the previous one. That's math eh, no? So it's like magkasunod-sunod. Hindi mo malalaman ang fractions, adding and subtracting fractions, hindi mo malalaman ang adding or addition. Tama? So that's the case eh. So if that would be the case, I'm really, really sorry. But in case now, if you really have the question, I am really having my time. I'm really giving my time for those students, and I have these students already that those chatting me already and having this session. Sometimes they are asking me to have Google Meet. It's fine, but perfect squares. No, if you have perfect squares, let me have this extension like 2 minutes or 1 minute to be. Alright, so let us have this perfect squares. Now, if we have perfect squares, what are the perfect squares? Oh, for example, we have this square root of 9, ha? Square root of 9, what else? Square root of 4, square root of 25, square root of 36, square root of 49. So, maglalagay ka dyan. Meron na ba yung mga pinagsusulat mo? If we say perfect square, no? If we square these values, alright, so if we will try to square these values, what would be their value? For square root of 9, it would be 3, right? So we will list down, we will list that one. So square root of 9, it will be 3. So square root of 4, it will be 2. Square root of 25, it will be 5. Alright, so square root of 49, it will be 7. This is the basic perfect squares. So square root of 36, it will be 6. So if you will notice, all the square roots have come up until to the whole number. But if you will try to find the square root of 10, so would you mind to have your computations in your calculator? If we are to find square root of 10, so let me have my calculator. So square root of 10. So the value would be in decimal, it will be 3.1622776. So if you will notice, it has the decimal numbers already, and it is not perfect. Why? It has 3 decimal places, decimal values. All right. So in this part, you will notice if a number is perfect square if it is just a whole number without the decimal values. Okay. So I hope Nathaniel, it will be clear for you. Is it clear, Nathaniel? Alright, so I'm hoping for the others if this time, like really getting out of your way because I'm already exceeding the time na. Alright, pasensya na kasi ano ba yan? Sabi ko nga nung una, alam ko yung pakiramdam nyo. Pero kung tutuusin, we will be dealing up until the end. You are going to be grade 11 already, going to grade 12, then college. What are the things you will be giving to the professors and to the teachers and to the lesson itself if you don't know these things? Knowing that these things are really important for you to know. No? So if you will notice, I don't have this slow time phase to deal with the discussions. No? Pero it's really like that. So I'm still finding a way you to deal for you to have this setup. No? Alright, so again, I'm really, really sorry. But again, for those who really want to have questions, like if you have concerns, don't hesitate to ask. All right. So before we leave, may I request to everyone to open their camera and uh, let us have this screenshot already. All right. So let us have 1, 2, 9. All right. So as usual, before we leave, let us have this. Press 1 in the comment section and you may now leave. Okay?
Bye and thank you, sir. Happy birthday.